So yesterday we got through Act 1, Scene 3, right? And what is about to happen? What's going on? There's about to be a party, and Romeo and Benvolio plan to crash it, right? What's their purpose in going? Yeah. Benvolio wants to find a girl for Romeo so he can forget about Rosalind, but Romeo's there to stalk Rosalind and look at her because she don't want him, but he wants to look at her. So that is where we are. So let's get on Act 1, Scene 4. Tomorrow we're going to finish Act 1 today, and tomorrow we're going to have a test. If you've been listening, I'm going to let you use your book, but if you've been listening and paying attention, and you'll do fine, okay? Especially if you've been looking over your drama terms and all that stuff, and you know what that stuff is. We've been talking about it as we go, but all right. So let's look at scene. Did I say scene 4? We didn't get to scene 3, did we? Okay. So let's back it up to scene 3. On page 33. Now, this is where Lady Capulet and then the nurse are going to talk to Juliet. So a nurse would be like a nanny, basically, which Juliet's too old for a nanny, but they became like what they call a lady's companion after that, just somebody to keep them company and kind of keep up with them. So what does that tell you about rich folks if all of them have nannies and nurses? Yeah, they're rich, but how about raising their kids? They're not really the ones raising them. They're not very hands-on, right? So, and remember, we're talking about mostly rich people in this thing. Y'all get your mask on.
Nurse, where's my daughter? Call her forth to me.
Now, by my maidenhead, a 12-year-old, I bade her come. What lamb? What ladybird? God forbid, where's this girl? What, Juliet?
Oh no, who calls?
Your mother.
Madam, I am here. What is your will?
This is the matter. Nurse, give leave a while. We must talk in secret. Nurse, come back again. I have remembered me. Thou'st hear our counsel. Thou knowest my daughter's of a pretty age.
She, I think of her age unto an hour.
She's not 14.
I'll lay 14 of my teeth. And yet to my teen, be it spoken, I have but 4. She's not 14. How long is it now to Lammas tide?
A fortnight and odd days.
Even or odd of all the days in the year. Come Lammas Eve at night shall she be 14. Susan and she, God rest all Christian souls, were of an age. Well, Susan is with God. She was too good for me. But, as I said, on Lammas Eve at night shall she be 14. That shall she. Marry, I remember it well. 'Tis since the earthquake, now 11 years, and she was weaned, I never shall forget it, of all the days of the year, upon that day. For I had then laid wormwood to my dog, sitting in the sun under the dove house wall. My lord and you were then at Mantua. Nay, I do bear a brain. But as I said, when it did taste the wormwood on the nipple of my dog and felt it bitter, pretty fool, to see it tetchy and fall out with the dog. Shake, quoth the dove house. 'Twas no need, I trow, to bid me trudge. And since that time it is 11 years. For then she could stand high low. Nay, by the rood, she could have run and waddled all about. For even the day before she broke her brow. And then my husband, God be with his soul, he was a merry man, took up the child. Yea, quoth he, dost thou fall upon thy face? Thou wilt fall backward when thou hast more wit, wilt thou not, Jewel? And by my hologram, the pretty wretch left crying and said, I. To see now how a jest shall come about. I warrant, and I should live 1,000 years, I never should forget it. Wilt thou not, Jewel, quoth he, and pretty fool it stinted and said, I.
Enough of this, I pray thee, hold thy peace.
Yes.
Okay. So this is the nurse talking. What do we know about, even if you don't understand what she's talking about, what can you tell about her character so far?
Yeah.
She talks a lot, right? And she's very excited. How do you think she feels about Juliet? Yeah, well, her mom comes in saying, okay, she's 14, almost 14. She's of a pretty age, meaning she's about to be of age, like where she's grown, which you're not at 14, but in Renaissance England or Europe, I guess you were. So she says she's 14, and then the nurse starts mouth diarrhea about her being 14. And she says that in line 20, y'all look at that. She knows she'll be 14 on Lammas Eve because Susan and she, God rest all Christian souls, were of the same age. But Susan is with God. Who do you think Susan might be? The nurse's daughter, yeah. So she had a daughter the same age as Juliet that died when she was a baby. So how do you think she feels about like taking on and raising Juliet? Yeah, she probably sees her like a daughter figure, right? She's real close to her. And she's telling all these cutesy stories about when she was little and she was trying to wean her and all this stuff. So we're not even going to go all into that. But basically, it shows that their relationship is what? That Juliet and the nurse are what? They're close, yeah. And also that Lady Capulet is annoyed by how much she talks. So let's see.
Madam, yet I cannot choose but laugh to think it should leave crying and say, I. And yet I warrant it had upon its brow a bump as big as a young cockerel stone, a perilous knock, and it cried bitterly, Yea, quoth my husband false upon thy face, thou wilt fall backward when thou comest to age, wilt thou not chew this stinted and sayest I?
And stint thou too, I pray thee, nurse, say I.
Oh, peace, I have done. God mark thee to his grace, thou wast the prettiest babe that e'er I nursed, and I might live to see thee married once. I have my wish.
Mary, that Mary is the very theme I came to talk of. Tell me, daughter Juliet, how stands your disposition to be married?
All right, so why is Mama coming to talk to her? Yeah, yesterday, we know who wants to marry her. Paris, yeah, his name's Paris. He's some guy that wants to marry her. And her mom's coming to talk to her about how she feels about getting married.
It is an honor that I dream not of.
An honor. Were not I thine only nurse, I would say thou hadst sucked wisdom from thy teeth.
Well, think of marriage now. Younger than you here in Verona, ladies of esteem are made already mothers. By my count, I was your mother much upon these years that you are now a maid. Thus then, in brief, the valiant Paris seeks you for his love.
Oh, man.
Okay, so she's telling her that ladies younger than Juliet are already what? As a matter of fact, she was a mother by her age. So it's not uncommon back then for 13-year-olds to have already been married with kids. So pretty different than now, but
Young lady, such a man as all the world. Why, he's a man of wax.
Verona's summer hath not such a flower.
Nay, he's a flower.
You did a little Shakespeare.
Mhm.
All right. You know Miss
he's a man of wax. What do you think she's saying about him? He's like a wax figure, so like a work of art. So what's she saying about Paris? He is fine.
Or, in faith, a very flower.
What say you? Can you love the gentleman? This night you shall behold him at our feast. Read o'er the volume of young Paris' face and find delight writ there with beauty's pen. Examine every married lineament and see how one another lends content. And what obscured in this fair volume lies, find written in the margent of his eyes. This precious book of love, this unbound lover to beautify him only lacks a cover. The fish lives in the sea, and 'tis much pride for fair without the fair within to hide. That book in many's eyes doth share the glory that in gold clasps locks in the golden story. So shall you share all that he doth possess by having him, making yourself no less.
No less, nay bigger, women grow by men.
Speak briefly. Can you like of Paris' love?
I'll look to like, if looking liking move. But no more deep will I dart mine eye than your consent gives strength to make it fly.
Madam! The guests are come, supper served up. You called, my young lady asked for it. The nurse cursed in the pantry, and everything in extremity. I must hence to wait. I beseech you, follow straight.
We follow thee. Juliet, the county stays.
Go, girl, seek happy nights to happy days.
Okay. So, Lady Capulet's there to tell her she's of an age to be married. Remember, how is this different from how Daddy handled this? What did her dad say yesterday? Granted, she wasn't there, but what did he talk to Paris about? Did he think she's ready? No. What does he want for her? Yeah, to be older and to be in love, right? To want to marry him. But Mama's saying what? How is it different? Yeah, Mama's like, you're old enough. I was your mother about your age. And what does she say about County Paris? All it takes, she says. Look at page 95 or 39. She says, what say you? Can you love the gentleman? Like, it's not suggested that Juliet even knows him very well, but Mama wants to know, can she love him? She says, this night you shall behold him at our feast. Read over the volume of young Paris's face and find delight writ there with beauty's pen. So she's telling her to look at him and see if she can love him. What does that say about how they think about love? Love is all wrapped up in what? Physical attraction. Yeah, looks. Remember, Romeo yesterday only told us about what this girl looked like. And now Juliet's mom is only talking to her about what Paris looks like. And she tells her to read over the volume of his face and see that beauty is written there. You ever heard that expression that you can read someone like a book? Read someone's face like a book? So she's saying you can look at his face and tell whether or not he's somebody you could love. Is that always true? One of the biggest themes in Shakespeare is always about appearances and how they can be deceiving. You ever heard that? Can you look at somebody and tell that they're a good person? You ever been fooled by somebody before? Thinking that they were nice and then they were not nice? It's not happened to me very often, but it did happen to me once that I can think of in particular. And to this day, I don't like to be made a fool of. It's my biggest pet peeve. And I mean, I really thought, he was a friend of my husband's and we thought he was just a nice guy, but he turns out to not at all be nice. And the stuff he was hiding would flip your wig. But, and to this day, I get mad thinking about it because I don't like to be deceived. But people can. They can seem really nice and not be at all. But her mother's telling her, just look at him and see if he's somebody you could love. She's comparing his face to a book. And she says, examine every married lineament and see how one another lends content, and what obscured in this fair volume lies, find written in the margin of his eyes. So what you can't see on the book of his face, where can she find it? In his eyes. So you always see the truth in somebody's eyes. Sometimes you might see boogers in somebody's eyes. That doesn't mean you should marry them, right? That doesn't tell you anything except maybe they're not very clean. But her mother's advice to her daughter is, look at his face and see if you can love him. She says, this precious book of love, this unbound lover, to beautify him only lacks a cover. What's the only thing he's missing? The book of Paris. A wife, which would be the cover to his book, right? The fish lives in a sea, and 'tis much pride, for fair without the fair within to hide. That book in many's eyes doth share the glory, that in gold clasp locks in the golden story. So you shall share all that he doth possess by having him, making yourself no less. So then the nurse tells her, no less, nay bigger, women grow by men. So what makes women better, according to the nurse and the mama here? A husband. And then Lady Capulet tells her, can you like of Paris's love? So can you get on board with this? And what does Juliet say? I'll try. Yeah, essentially saying, if I have to, I'll try. She says, I'll look at him if liking move. If looking at somebody will make you like them. But no more deep will I endart mine eye than your gives consent strength to make it fly. So I won't look any farther than I have to until you tell me to. Until you tell me I have to marry him, basically. So what does this say about Juliet? That she immediately agrees and says, if this is what you want me to do. What does it say about Juliet's character? She minds her parents, so she's a good daughter. On this one, would you be mad at her if she said, no, I don't want to marry him? Would it make her a bad daughter to say that? I don't think so. But remember, for the time, women didn't have those kinds of choices. So she's very obedient. And the nurse is over there, oh, yeah, he's so fine. You'll have happy nights with him. So she ain't helping matters, is she? All right, so we're about to see the scene where Romeo and Juliet see each other for the first time. So remember, Romeo's going to crash this party, and I need to tell you about his buddy, Mercutio. So Mercutio is his best friend, and Mercutio is my favorite character because he is a trip. He's kind of strange, but he's real funny. But he's going to say all this crazy stuff about dreams and this. Don't let it discourage you from the story. Romeo still thinks he's in love with Rosalind, and all his boys are taking him out to prove him wrong. So what kind of stuff are these guys going to be saying to him, do you think, to get him to lighten up? Huh? Anything they can think of to get him to locker room talk, all that stuff. Girl, we can see some hotties, and you're not going to think about her anymore. So he's being built up by all his friends on the way to the party. So that's where we are in scene 4. Enter Romeo, Mercutio, Benvolio with 5 or 6 other maskers, torchbearers, and a boy with a drum. So it's if they're wearing masks, what kind of party is it? Yeah, a masquerade where they wear the little thing on their face. Good for him since he's crashing it, right? Now, we know how dangerous this is, right? Because what has the prince told them?
Stay away from each other.
Stay away from each other. If they do it again, they're put to death, right? They fight again. We know that this is, who's invited to this that is not going to be happy to see Montague's there? And which Capulet in particular is quite a hothead. Y'all remember him? The T word, Tybalt. Tybalt. He is a hothead. And he's going to be there. So we'll see how it goes for our buddy Romeo. Y'all just call him Ty. Tybalt.
What, shall this speech be spoke for our excuse, or shall we on without apology?
The date is out of such prolixity. We'll have no Cupid hoodwinked with a scarf bearing a Tartar's painted bow of laughs, scaring the ladies like a crow keeper, nor no without book prologue faintly spoke after the prompter for our entrance. But let them measure us by what they will. We'll measure them a measure and be gone.
Give me a torch. I am not for this ambling thing, but heavy I will bear the light.
Nay, gentle Romeo, we must have you dance.
Not I, believe me. You have dancing shoes with nimble soles. I have a soul of lead, so stakes me to the ground I cannot move.
Soul and soul. He says you have nimble souls. S-O-L-E. What is an S-O-L-E soul? On your shoe. So nimble soul, so dancing shoes, like light feet, right? And he says he can't dance because I have a soul, S-O-U-L, of lead. Why does his soul feel like it's made of lead right now? Because of what's her name? Yeah, Rosalind doesn't love him back, and it's very distressing to him. So,
You are a lover. Borrow Cupid's wings and soar with them above a common bound.
I am too sore and pierced with his shaft to soar with his light feathers. And so bound, I cannot bound a pitch above dull woe. Under love's heavy burden do I sink.
And to sink in it should you burden love. Too great oppression for a tender thing.
Is love a tender thing? It is too rough, too rude, too boisterous, and it pricks like thorn.
If love be rough with you, be rough with love. Prick love for pricking, and you beat love down. Give me a case to put my visage in. A visor for a visor. What care I what curious eye doth coat deformities? Here are the beetle brows shall blush for me.
Come, knock and enter, and no sooner in, but every man but kick him to his legs. A torch for me. Let wantons light of heart tickle the senseless rushes with their heels. For I am proverbed with a grandsire phrase. I'll be a candle holder and look on. The game was ne'er so fair, and I am done.
Tut, done's the mouse, the constable's own word. If thou art done, we'll draw thee from the mire, or save your reverence love, wherein thou stickest up to the ears. Come, we burn daylight, ho!
Nay, that's not so.
I mean, sir, in delay we waste our lights. In vain lights by day. Take our good meaning, for our judgment sits 5 times in that air, once in our 5 wits.
And we mean well in going to this mask. But 'tis no wit to go.
Why, may one ask?
I dreamt a dream tonight.
And so did I.
Oh, what was yours?
That dreamers often lie.
In bed, asleep, while they do dream things true.
Oh, then I see Queen Mab hath been with you.
okay. So they're talking about dreams. And he's about to tell us about Queen Mab, the fairy queen of dreams or something. I don't know. He's a trip. So just get ready.
She is the fairy's midwife. And she comes in shape no bigger than an agate stone on the forefinger of an alderman, drawn with a team of little atomy over men's noses as they lie asleep. Her wagon spokes made of long spinner's legs, the cover of the wings of grasshoppers, her traces of the smallest spider web, her collars of the moonshine's watery beams, her whip of cricket's bone, the lash of film. Her wagoner, a small gray-coated gnat, not half so big as a round little worm, pricked from the lazy finger of a maid. Her chariot is an empty hazelnut, made by the joiner squirrel or old grub, time out of mind the fairy's coachmakers. And in this state, she gallops night by night through lovers' brains. And then they dream of love. On courtiers' knees that dream on cursies straight, or lawyers' fingers who straight dream on fees, or ladies' lips who straight on kisses dream, which oft the angry Mab with blisters plagues, because their breaths with sweetmeats tainted are. Sometimes she gallops o'er a courtier's nose, and then dreams he of smelling out a suit. And sometime comes she with a tithe pig's tail, tickling a parson's nose as he lies asleep. Then he dreams of another benefice. Sometimes she driveth o'er a soldier's neck, and then dreams he of cutting foreign throats, of breaches, ambuscados, Spanish blades, of hells 5 fathom deep, and then anon drums in his ear, at which he starts and wakes, and being thus frighted, swears a prayer or two, and sleeps again. This is that very Mab that plats the manes of horses in the night, and bakes the elf locks in foul, sluttish hairs, which once untangled, much misfortune bodes. This is the hag, when maids lie on their backs, that presses them, and learns them first to bear, making them women of good carriage. This is she!
Peace, Mercutio, peace.
Okay. So he has just gone off on a long tangent here about Queen Mab. What do you essentially get about Queen Mab from this? She is what? What does she make? She's a fairy that makes people do what? Dream. Okay. So he's just gone off with all this nonsense. And Romeo's like, dude, shut up.
Thou talkest of nothing.
True, I talk of dreams.
which are the children of an idle brain, begot of nothing but vain fantasy, which is as thin of substance as the air, and more inconstant than the wind, who woos even now the frozen bosom of the north, and being anchored, puffs away from thence, turning his side to the dew-dropping south.
All right, so Romeo's telling him, I don't think it's a good idea to go to this because I had this dream last night. And then that's when, y'all sit up and listen. That's when Mercutio goes off on this long tangent about Queen Mab. And Romeo's like, dude, that doesn't even make sense. And he's like, neither do dreams. So what's he telling him about his dream here? What does it mean? Huh? He says that Romeo tells him, thou talkest of nothing. And he says, true, I talk of dreams. So dreams mean nothing. He says, which are the children of an idle brain, begot of nothing but vain fantasy, which is as thin of substance as the air. Dreams don't mean poop, he says. They don't mean anything. So if Romeo has reservations about going to this ball because of a dream, what is Mercutio telling him? Nothing's going to happen. Dreams don't mean anything. So stop. What does this tell you about Mercutio, his attitude and behavior here? What kind of guy is he? He's weird, but, well, he's weird to us. Back then, he probably wasn't too weird. If he's jumping around and being all dramatic and joking around, well, we'll see. I guess that doesn't tell you much about him. You don't understand.
From ourselves. Supper is done, and we shall come too late. I fear too early. For my mind misgives some consequence, yet hanging in the stars shall bitterly begin his fearful date with this night's revels, and expire the term of a despised life, closed in my breast by some vile forfeit of untimely death. But he that hath the steerage of my course, direct my sail. On, lusty gentlemen, strike drum!
Okay, so Romeo's dream has made him feel what? He says, I fear too early, for my mind misgives some consequence, yet hanging in the stars. Shall bitterly begin his fearful day. Remember, the stars are fate, right? He thinks there's something going to happen fate-wise. He has this bad feeling about it. And he says, with his night's revels, so he thinks it's going to be something that starts tonight at this party. And he says, and expire the term of a despised life closed in my breast by some vile forfeit of untimely death. What's he think is going to happen to him? I have this bad feeling something's going to happen at this party. It's going to make me die earlier than I should. Is he right? We know essentially that he is because they told us that in the chorus. So he tells them, oh, well, though, on, lusty gentlemen, let's go party. So even though he feels like something's going to happen that's going to kill him, he's going to go anyway. Because he's nothing if he's not astute and wise here. All right, so he's about to meet Juliet. So y'all pay attention.
Where's Potpan that he helps them to take away? He shipped a trencher. He scrape a trencher.
When good manners shall lie all in one or two men's hands, and they unwashed too, it's a foul thing.
Away with the joint stools. Remove the court cupboard. Look to the plate. Good thou, save me a piece of marchpane, and as thou lovest me, let the porter let in Susan, Grindstone, and Nell. Anthony and Potpan!
Aye, boy, ready.
You were looked for and called for, asked for and sought for in the great chamber.
We cannot be here and there, too. Cheerly, boys.
Be brisk a while, and the longer liver take all.
So basically, they're getting ready for this party, and everything's all busy and frantic. Okay.
Welcome, gentlemen. Ladies that have their toes unplagued with corns will walk about with you. My mistresses, which of you all will now deny to dance? She that makes dainty, she, I'll swear, hath corns. Well, I might come near you now. Welcome, gentlemen. I have seen the day that I have worn a visor and could tell a whispering tale in a fair lady's ear, such as would please. 'Tis gone, 'tis gone, 'tis gone. You are welcome, gentlemen. Come, musicians, play. A hall, give room, and foot it, girls. Moonlight, you knaves, and turn the tables up, and quench the fire. The room has grown too hot. Ah, sirrah, this unlooked-for sport comes well. Nay, sit, good cousin Capulet, for you and I are past our dancing days. How long is now since last yourself and I were in a mask?
By your lady, 30 years.
What, man, 'tis not so much. 'Tis not so much. 'Tis since the nuptial of Lucentio come Pentecost as quickly as it will, some 25 years, and then we masked.
'Tis more. 'Tis more. His son is elder, sir. His son is 30.
Will you tell me that? His son was but a ward 2 years ago.
So Capulet's in a good mood, going around catching up with old family members he hasn't seen in this context in a long time. And everybody's having a good time. Well, here comes Romeo and the boys.
What lady's that which doth enrich the hand of yonder knight?
I know not, sir.
Oh, he's laid his eyes on a girl. And he's asked this serving man, who is that girl? Who do you think it is? Yeah.
Oh, she doth teach the torches to burn bright. It seems she hangs upon the cheek of night as a rich jewel in an Ethiop's ear. Beauty too rich for use, for earth too dear. So shows a snowy dove trooping with crows as yonder lady o'er her fellows shows. The measure done, I'll watch her place of stand, and touching hers, make blessed my rude hand. Did my heart love till now? Forswear its sight, for I ne'er saw true beauty till this night.
All right, so he's talking to himself about this woman that he sees. In the meantime, Tybalt overhears him. Now, he doesn't recognize him because he's got a mask on, but he's heard his voice before, so let's see how that goes.
This by his voice should be a Montague. Fetch me my rapier, boy. What, dares the slave come hither, covered with an antic face, to fleer and scorn at our solemnity? Now, by the stock in honor of my kin, to strike him dead, I hold it not a sin.
So what's he gonna do? I'm gonna kill him. How dare he come here?
Now, kinsman, wherefore storm you so?
Uncle, this is a Montague, our foe, a villain that is hither come in spite, to scorn at our solemnity this night.
Young Romeo is it?
'Tis he, that villain Romeo. Content thee, gentle coz, let him alone.
He bears him like a portly gentleman, and to say truth, Verona brags of him to be a virtuous and well-governed youth. I would not for the wealth of all this town here in my house do him disparagement. Therefore be patient. Take no note of him. It is my will, the which, if thou respect, show a fair presence, and put off these frowns, an ill-beseeming semblance for a feast.
It fits when such a villain is a guest. I'll not endure him.
He shall be endured. What, goodman boy, I say he shall. Go to. Am I the master here, or you? Go to. You'll not endure him. God shall mend my soul. You'll make a mutiny among my guests. You will set cock a hoop. You'll be the man.
Why, uncle, 'tis a shame.
Go to. You are a saucy boy. Is so indeed. This trick may chance to stage you, I know what. You must contrary me. Marry, 'tis time. Well said, my hearts. You are a princox. Go, be quiet, or... More light, for shame, I'll make you quiet. What? Cheerly, my heart.
Patience perforce with willful color meeting makes my flesh tremble in their different greeting. I will withdraw, but this intrusion shall, now seeming sweet, convert to bitterest gall.
Okay, so he's pretty hot, but then Capulet intercedes before he can do anything. And what does Lord Capulet tell him? Yeah, I've heard he's a good kid. What's he not going to allow to happen? You're not going to do anything to him at my party because that would look bad, right? What does this tell us about Lord Capulet? I mean, this is his enemy's son that has crashed the party at his house. Huh? Okay, he's a good man. He's at least fair, right? He's not going to do anything to the kid if he's not done anything to them. And how does Tybalt react? He gets mad at Tybalt because what is Tybalt acting like? Like, it's my house and I'm in charge. And Lord Capulet's like, no, you ain't. This is my house. You going to tell me what I'm going to do in my house? I don't think so. So he doesn't like that at all. And he tells Tybalt that this is not the time or the place for this nonsense. And then Tybalt, after he leaves, Tybalt tells him, patience perforce with willful choler meeting makes my flesh tremble in their different greeting. So patience and choler, which we talked about meant anger, right? They don't mix for him. What does it mean if he can't be patient when he's angry? He says, I will withdraw, so I'll leave. But this intrusion shall, now seeming sweet, convert to bitterest gall. So it seems fine now, but what happens when somebody's super angry and they can't do anything about it and they just stew on it? What does it become? Much worse. Like you bottle it up and let it fester, right? So he's saying it might be fine now, but it ain't gonna be fine later. So what is that an example of if he's telling us something's going to happen sometime? Foreshadowing. We know at some point Tybalt's going to erupt, right? Because somebody like him, you can't put him in his place like that and not see him explode at some point. So let's see what happens when Romeo approaches old Juliet here.
If I profane with my unworthiest hand this holy shrine, the gentle sin is this. My lips, two blushing pilgrims ready stand to smooth that rough touch with a tender kiss.
Good pilgrim, you do wrong your hand too much. Which mannerly devotion shows in this? For saints have hands that pilgrims' hands do touch, and palm to palm is holy palmer's kiss.
Have not saints lips, and holy palmers too?
Aye, pilgrim, lips that they must use in prayer.
Oh, then, dear saint, let lips do what hands do. They pray, grant thou lest faith turn to despair.
Saints do not move, though grant for prayer's sake.
Then move not, while my prayer's effect I take. Thus, from my lips, by thine, my sin is purged.
And have my lips the sin that they have took?
Sin from my lips? Oh, trespass sweetly urged, give me my sin again.
You kiss by the book.
Madam, your mother craves a word with you.
Okay. So Romeo, it's pretty smooth here. Did y'all get what he's doing? All right, let's flip back and look. So he takes her hand. Like he's just met this girl, right? And he comes up before he's ever even said, yo, my name is Romeo. He ain't even told her who he is. He takes her by the hand. And he tells her, if I profane with my unworthiest hand this holy shrine, the gentle sin is this. So he takes her hand and calls it a holy shrine. Y'all know what a shrine is?
Like something you like.
Yeah, it's something you pray to and worship, right? It's like an altar that you worship to. So he's calling her hand something he's going to worship. And he says that my lips, two blushing pilgrims. Do you know what a pilgrim is? Y'all thinking about the people with the hats and the buckles on their shoes? Okay. So technically a pilgrim is somebody who's made a religious journey. Okay. They go to visit a shrine. That's what the term pilgrim actually means. I don't really know. I guess because the pilgrims came here for religious freedom, they call them that, but it doesn't really match. But generally, a pilgrim is supposed to be somebody who makes a religious journey, who goes to see a shrine for religious purposes. Like people that go to the Holy Land. Y'all know anybody in your church has ever gone to like Jerusalem or something? They're on a pilgrimage. They're pilgrims. Okay. Well, he's saying his lips are pilgrims because they're going to go on a religious journey where? What's the shrine? Her hand. That's smooth, right? And he says, to smooth that rough touch with a tender kiss. And she tells him, so he wanted to kiss her hand, but he's making all this fancy talk. I worship your hand and whatever. And she tells him, good pilgrim, you do wrong your hand too much, which mannerly devotion shows in this. For saints have hands that pilgrims' hands do touch, and palm to palm is holy palmer's kiss. So she's saying that saints can touch, like saints and pilgrims can touch hands. So palm to palm, when they touch hands, that's a holy kiss, she says. And he says, okay, well, do saints have lips? And palmers or pilgrims, they have lips too? What's he getting at? Instead of touching hands, what's he getting at? Kissing, yeah. And she's like, yeah, lips that they must use in prayer. So she's being a little coy here. She's not just readily like saying, okay, come on, smooch on me. And he says, pilgrims, oh, then, dear saint, let lips do what hands do. So when people touch hands, what are they doing? Like they're touching, right? So if lips are doing what hands are doing, what's he saying he wants to do? Kiss her, yeah. And he says, they pray. So when hands do this, they pray, right? So he wants their lips to pray, meaning touch, okay? And he says, grant thou lest faith turn to despair. So she's got to grant him this or he'll be just despaired. Well, hold up, though. Who did he come to this party to see? But who's he kissing on? Was it love? So Juliet still hadn't let him. She says, saints do not move, though grant for prayer's sake. So she's saying saints don't move, because most saints are dead and it's a statue people go see. So she's saying saints don't move, but they do grant prayer's sake. Then he says, okay, then move not while my prayer's effect I take. So he tells her to stand still while he kisses her, and he does. And then he says, thus from my lips by thine, my sin is purged. So just by kissing her, what's it done to all his sin? It's taking it away, right? To purge it, to like get rid of it. So he's using all this religious imagery with her, like she's something to be worshipped. She's something holy. She's something so pure. And then she says, then have my lips the sin that they have took. She's saying, so you just gave me your sin, basically. You put sin on my lips, she says. He goes, oh, goodness, no, give me my sin again. So he kisses her again. It's just, they're playing, right? They're flirting real heavy here. And he kisses her, and she tells him that he kisses by the book, meaning he really knows what he's doing. Well, before they can even talk, the nurse comes to get her. So does he know who she is? Does she know who he is? Ruh-roh. Yeah. So the nurse comes to get her saying, your mama wants to talk to you.
What is her mother?
Oh my God, TV, come on.
Married bachelor, her mother is the lady of the house, and a good lady, and a wise and virtuous. I nursed her daughter that you talked withal. I tell you, he that can lay hold of her shall have the chinks.
Is she a Capulet? Oh, dear Count, my life is my foe's debt. Away, begone, the sport is at the best. Aye, so I fear, the more is my unrest.
Nay, gentlemen, prepare not to be gone. We have a trifling foolish banquet for us. If it even so, why then, I thank you all. I thank you, honest gentlemen. Good night. More torches here. Come on then, let's to bed. Sirrah, by my fay, it waxes late. Out to my rest.
All right, so he asked the nurse, she says, your mama wants you. And he's like, who's her mama? And what's he find out? Oh, no. And he says, oh, dear Count, my life is my foe's debt. What's a foe? Enemy. So his life is in his enemy's hands, essentially. And so the party's over. So let's look at page 61.
Come hither, nurse. What is yon gentleman? The son and heir of old Tiberio.
What's he that now is going out of door?
Marry, that, I think, the young Petruchio.
What's he that follows here that would not dance?
Oh, I know not.
Go ask his name. If he be Mariette, my grave is like to be my wedding bed.
His name is Romeo, and of Montague, the only son of your great enemy.
My only love sprung from my only hate. Too early seen, unknown, and known too late. Prodigious birth of love it is to me that I must love a loathed enemy.
What's this? What's this?
A rhyme I learned even now of when I danced withal.
Anon, anon. Come, let's away. The strangers all are gone.
All right, so what does the nurse tell Juliet? Yeah, he's a Montague. And Juliet's like, oh, crap. She says, my only love sprung from my only hate. What does she mean by that?
He likes somebody that's
She doesn't say like, though. What does she say? She thinks she's already in love with him. Too early seen, unknown, and known too late. Prodigious birth of love it is to me that I must love a loathed enemy. Oh, it would just be my luck that I fall in love with my enemy. And the nurse is like, what did you say? She's like, nothing. I'm just singing a song I learned tonight. Because she don't want to tell the nurse, hey, yo, I love a Montague. So, they are in love already. So how long have they known each other so far? About a minute, maybe a minute and a half. But they're in love.
The only person in this conference.
They are in love. So, do y'all think that that is going to bode well? Okay. So if y'all will look at Canvas, thankfully we finished kind of early because y'all didn't get done yesterday. So if you look at paragraph 1, scene 5. It'll pull it up. All you gotta do is submit it when you're done. But it's asking you, how does Shakespeare use figurative language to develop the characters of Romeo and Juliet? So think about the figurative language that we saw with all that hands and shrine and all that mess. Think about what type of figurative language those things are. And what does it say? What is he saying about Romeo and Juliet? How do we feel about them as characters because of it? Okay. Remember, we have a test tomorrow. It's mostly multiple choice in one paragraph, I think.